Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Swanson coming to you from high atop Fullerton, California, with another exciting episode of Go the Extra Mile. Did I sound like a radio announcer there? I was a radio announcer for many years. I still have the extra deep voice when I need it. Today, I'd like to talk about learning to think on your feet. This comes from Chapter 11, Preparing and Delivering Professional Presentations. You're probably wondering what think on your feet has to do with preparing and delivering presentations. Well, that's where my live on the air radio experience has served me well over the years. I learned to work in an environment where I had to speak around different programming elements. When I was a radio news director at one of the stations where I worked, I wrote 5-minute newscasts that had to be read every hour in the morning and the afternoon, from 54 minutes and 30 seconds after the hour until 59 minutes and 30 seconds before the top of the hour. I read the news, we ran a 30-second announcement, and then the network news started right at the top of the hour. I wrote my news copy and tried to make that written copy as close to 5 minutes in length as possible. But sometimes the copy was a little short. Sometimes it was a little long. I had to think on my feet. Sometimes I had to stall for time, but not sound like I was stalling for time. On other occasions, I had to cut from the copy as I was reading it because the advertisement had to start at exactly 59 minutes, 30 seconds after the hour. On other occasions, I did live stand-up work, interviews, election coverage, live events, opportunities where I had to ad lib or speak extemporaneously as I went along. If I was working with an audio director and the director said, "Keep talking, we need 3 more minutes," I'd have to keep talking for 3 more minutes. So I always needed to have ideas to fall back on so the audience didn't perceive that I was stalling for time. Bottom line, my training as a radio announcer taught me how to think on my feet in radio, to speak clearly and effectively when my mind was making decisions about what was going to happen next. It's kind of like multitasking, except you're doing it in front of a live audience. Later, when I moved to television news, I had to do the same thing without having a look of panic on my face. It's one thing to speak calmly. It's quite another to speak calmly and look calm at the same time. So when I say learn to think on your feet, I'm referring to your team's final presentation. Building on the good advice you'll find in Chapter 11, as your team prepares to present your work, rehearse. You should rehearse at least a couple of times so everyone knows their part and what happens before and after. Every member of the team should be familiar with everyone else's material. That way, if one member of your team struggles to come up with a concept or a fact, or if they suddenly go blank, someone else can step in. This is also helpful when you're using technology. I mean, hey, it happens. Computers can crash. The Wi-Fi can go out. Your PowerPoint program can suddenly seize up, and you can't stand there speechless. You got to say something. This is where thinking on your feet comes in. You can continue speaking, move the presentation along, even if the computer has crashed, the Wi-Fi has gone out, or PowerPoint has suddenly decided to update and it'll take 5 minutes. Learning to think on your feet is an important skill in public relations. It demonstrates capability, confidence, professionalism, authority. Think of TV news anchor people. When they're live on the air, they may or may not be reading from a script, but they have a director speaking in their ear through an earphone that's called an IFB. The anchor is speaking the words to the audience while simultaneously listening to the director's cues and perhaps getting ready to switch to a new segment that had not been previously planned. It's multitasking. It's thinking on your feet. So when you go to job interviews, you don't know the questions you may be asked. You can't bring a list of scripted answers. You must think on your feet. The workplace is constantly asking us to think on our feet. That doesn't mean we have the answers immediately, but it does mean we can give enough of an answer now to buy time until I can look up the facts. So keep this in mind as you prepare for the workplace. Don't shy away from opportunities to speak extemporaneously and think on your feet. I'm Dr. Swanson, and I'll be back with you again soon.